Rounding decimals. The big picture. Why do you need to know it? Well, teachers say you must learn it. The world says you must know it. And I say, let's get to it. How about that for a big picture? Well, there's more to it than that, but it's time to get down to business. Rounding digits. We talked about in one of my lessons, and rounding whole numbers, if you want to look up that video, that the numbers 0 through 4 are smaller than 5 through 9. So if you run into this number, the digit that you underline, you're going to round down. So the place value stays the same. If you run into this digit, you're going to round up. So your place value increases by 1. I know I just said that, but we're about to try it. As another refresher, we know that numbers on the left side of the decimal are whole numbers. Well, we did a lesson on rounding whole numbers, but now we're going to focus on these. Remember, the first number right after the decimal to the right is called the tenths place. The second number from the decimal is the hundredths place. And the third number from the decimal is the thousandths place. Now, of course, numbers can go many numbers to the right, but we're just going to stick with these 3 places. This is an example of what decimal numbers are. They are actually numbers that are part or have not yet made it to the whole number 1. In fact, all of these decimals, like 0.5 or 0.25 or 0.065, even 0.00001, which is a very small number, or 0.99999, which is almost to the number 1, but not quite. All these numbers are less than 1. So anytime you see a decimal, we're talking about a fraction or just a number that has not made it to the whole number 1. Okay? So decimals are parts, just parts of whole numbers. All right. I figured the best way to do this is just start practicing. What we're going to do is we're going to take a few numbers and we're going to round to the nearest tenth. This group will be round to the nearest tenth. And I want to use my marker and I want you to practice this if you can, if you want to write down these numbers real quick. Or we'll work on them in class the following day. So here we go. The 10th place is the number that I want to box. So I know that it's the number that's right after the decimal. And I'm going to look at this digit. I should call them digits, not numbers. I look at this digit and I see that it's on the big side. Okay? It's 5 through 9. So that means I need to round up. If I round up, I increase this number by 1. So my new rounded up number is 0.2, and I just make that a 0 since I rounded up. This is my new rounded number to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth, this is my hundredths place. I see that this is a 4, so I'm going to round down because it falls in the group 0 through 4. So this number does not get changed. So the number is 0.20. As you can see, 0.24 is closer to 0.20 than it is to 0.30. I'm going to box my tens place. I'm going to underline my ones place. I see that 1 is on my small side, so I'm going to leave my 9 the same, make this number a 0, and I'm going to round 0.91 down to 0.90. 0.7 is my tens place. This is in my hundreds place. I see that it's 5, which is in the big group, so I round up, which means I add to this number a 1, so I make that an 8, and I make that a 0. So as you can see, all of my numbers have been rounded to the nearest 10th place, and they're closer to this number than the next position up or down. That's rounding. And these numbers are easier to work with in your head than having to work with these, and that's why we do it. Okay, let's look at the 100th place. I like Christmas colors, so I'll stick with green on the red. Now what I'm going to do is count 2 over. Tens, hundreds. I'm going to underline the thousandths place. I'm always looking at the number to the right. So I look here. The 2 stays the same. We're not changing that. I'm only possibly changing this one if I need to. But I look at the 4. No change needed. 2, 5, and then I make that a 0. This number always goes to the 0, the one that's underlined. Okay? So 2.254 becomes 0.250. Let's look at this one. Tens, hundredths. Underline the thousandths place. It's lower in the lower group. Everything stays the same except for the 1. I make 0. 0.991 becomes 0.990. A nice round number. Tens, hundredths. I'm saying tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I look at 1, I look at the 0, I see that it is on the small side, 0, 1, 0. It's already rounded down. I didn't need to do anything. Okay? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 8, big number. Round this up, so I'm going to add 1. This number stays the same because it's not in a box. This number goes up to 4, and this one gets slashed down to 0. 0.340 because it's so close to it, and that's why we round up. All right, let's go to the thousandths place. So I'm going to have to count, and I'm going to have to remember all of these words. I'll go through these quickly. Tenths, hundredths, I don't want to use blue. We'll use red. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I underline this one. This one's bigger, so I'm going to add 1. 0.485, and I can make that a 0 if I'd like. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I'll look at this number. I'm going to add 1. 0.267, and I can add a 0 if I need to. You don't have to add the 0. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Look at this number. Start from here. 3, 0. Does this number change? Yes, because it's a 9. That goes to 1, and I can leave that as 0. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Box that one. Underline this one. These numbers stay. I look in here. The number is 4, so I don't increase. The number stays. 0.425. Okay? So as you can see, I've just rounded these numbers up or down based on the number that I underlined. You can get rid of all the zeros at the end, and you have smaller numbers to work with or get in your way if you think that confuses you. But there's nothing wrong with keeping there either. And that is rounding decimals. Good luck. Hasta luego.